We've had Kingdom Hearts 1, we've had Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, which wasn't Kingdom Hearts 2, and we've had Kingdom Hearts 2, which wasn't the second game.
And now it's time for Kingdom Hearts, even more numbers.
This is where the titles start getting kind of ridiculous. But before we get started with anything else, how do you think this name should be pronounced? Because you're not going to get it right. Because I don't know the right answer 100% either. But I want to know what you think.
Kingdom Hearts 358 in 2 days?
That's
358 divided by 2 days?
That's remarkably close. There's two ways people tend to pronounce this, and there's a very harsh debate as to which one is correct. I don't give a fuck. Generally, people refer to this just as Kingdom Hearts days, because obviously...
Yeah, that would be easier.
The two ways people pronounce this is Kingdom Hearts 358 days over 2, which makes no fucking sense because the 2 is in the middle, not at the end.
Yeah.
And the other way is 358.02 days.
Right.
We'll get into...
I wouldn't put it past Square Enix to just say, this is Kingdom Hearts 358.
I mean, it might as well be. I like to say this is Kingdom Hearts 176.
What? Oh, yeah.
But that's just... Generally, going forward as well in this series, when we refer back to this game, I will just call it Kingdom Hearts Days. Because saying Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days is a mouthful, and it's going to upset people because they think I pronounce it wrong either way.
All right.
You just wait until we get to Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep, Fragmentary Passage, Final Chapter Prologue.
But what now?
Admittedly, that's a little bit more complicated. That's the longest title in the series, technically speaking, but it's like a compound title. It's actually like the title of a collection of games, and within that collection of games, one of the games has got a long time. We'll get to that in 7 months.
Yeah.
This game takes place in between Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2. So there's not going to be a hell of a lot of plot progression. It's mostly filling in background on things we already know happened. And
so just a bit of filler, and let's have some fun.
More or less, yeah. It's possible to skip this, but you would miss a lot of character-based context going into specifically 3. And there's one character that gets introduced here, which is very important that we cover. So we're going to cover the whole fucking game.
All right.
In what it does, it takes place between Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2. It's more of a prequel to 2 than it is a sequel to 1. Like Chain Memories also takes place in between Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. That's very much a sequel to Kingdom Hearts 1. This is more so a prequel to Kingdom Hearts 2. And we don't actually play as Sora, because Sora is asleep for most of this time.
Right, because this was the backstory of the blonde guy that didn't exist.
Yeah.
Right?
This is the backstory to Roxas. What happens in between him being created at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1 when Sora stabs himself. Uh-huh. And all the way up to, like, the final cutscene of this game literally is the opening of Kingdom Hearts 2 with Roxas.
Right, then we rolled into the tutorial that didn't make sense.
Yeah, and then we rolled into the tutorial that took us like an hour and a half.
Alrighty then.
So you could say that hour and a half we spent before just covering the tutorial world, this is just more of that.
And it's just a whole game that's a tutorial, with a tutorial in it probably.
More or less, yeah, kind of. I should point out that this originally was a Nintendo DS game. The screenshots you're going to see are going to be pretty high definition for Nintendo DS, and that's because they're not from the Nintendo DS. When all the games were remade in HD for the PS3 and then ported to the PS4 as well, the two Nintendo DS games, which was this and another one, weren't actually remade as full games because, number one, it's probably... They had to be remade instead of just ported, because I'm pretty sure the Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2 versions just run on emulators.
Yeah, and porting a game that's made for two screens, of which one is a touchscreen, to a system that just runs on one screen with a controller that's completely different, and that wouldn't be easy.
Yeah, so they would have to remake the entire game. And the game specifically doesn't really use the touchscreen all that much, so it would have been possible from like a game design perspective, because the touchscreen most of the time is just a mini-map in this game. But we're going to be seeing a recap of that game remade in HD as a kind of a movie with sometimes like text splash screens put in for things they didn't want to make full cutscenes out of.
So it's just a retextured cut screen movie.
Yeah, but like every time there is a fight, usually in the game, of course, you do that fight. Here we just fade to black and then fade into the cutscene from after the fight. It's really bad watching it as a movie, but it's also not a game. So it's literally just there to be like a complete package for the lore, and it's not fun to go through in any way whatsoever.
It's sort of before you play Kingdom Hearts 2, it's like the thing in front of a series episode. Last time in Kingdom Hearts.
Pretty much, yeah. That's pretty much what this is. But that also means that what I have done is I've watched the HD version, because the original DS game is very long, and just for my own comfort, a lot of the cutscenes are just like text bubbles, because it's a Nintendo DS. Some of those text bubble cutscenes have been converted into like fully voice-acted cutscenes, which is amazing. Some of them have just disappeared. They're just not in the HD remake because there would be way too much of it. So what we're doing here today is we're recapping a recap.
It's recapception.
Which means that there's a lot of things that are going to, like little details that we're not going to be able to cover. Largely, they're not that important. Anyway.
So it's recapception, it's recaption?
You have no idea how funny that is. You might remember. Actually, I don't think you remember, and it's not that important. So let's just move on in a second. But every
Probably not.
time one of the games gets remade, like Chain Memories, which we did like 3 episodes ago now.
Uh-huh.
That was originally a GBA game, and I talked about that there as well. And they remade it for the PS2 and then the PS3 as well. And then they called it Chain Memories. The same thing they did for the game that we're going to do after this, which was originally a mobile phone game. And when I say a mobile phone game, I don't mean a smartphone game. I mean, you played that shit on your BlackBerry.
Oh, yikes.
So they remade that for the Nintendo DS, and then they called it Recoded. And that whole like name is kind of a meme in and of itself as well. Because the DLC for Kingdom Hearts 3, and this is like very recent stuff, is called Mind, which is of course the word remind, but it's also like kind of a running joke. So calling this Reception actually kind of works. Anyway, well, all that up front out of the way so that everybody knows what they're getting into. You still have the opportunity to click off, but please don't, because that will kill my retention rate. Let's get into it. First and foremost, we have this.
This looks sexy.
You're gonna regret saying that.
Probably.
She's fucking dying. And what does he say as she dies? Who else will I have ice cream with?
Sure, because that's your main concern as someone is dying.
Exactly. So, now, would you like to know the context for this? Because this is an infamous screenshot from Kingdom Hearts, which people often use to say, look, Kingdom Hearts is just kind of stupid, because what the fuck is this writing? We're going to go through the context of the entire game. By the end of the game, we'll come back to this, and you'll understand what's going on.
Right. Well, something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Except the ice cream.
There's going to be plenty of ice cream throughout the game. Don't you fucking worry.
Cool.
The name of the game is Kingdom Hearts something days, and that is because the game is structured in a way where you play day by day. You don't play every single day. Sometimes the game skips ahead like 20 days at a time, but every day Roxas goes out to get a mission from the organization, mostly to go out and kill Heartless and stuff like that, to like capture their hearts. And we start the game at day 255 with Axel and Roxas on top of the Twilight Town clock tower. Did you like the fact that Kingdom Hearts 2 was like 90% Twilight Town? Because this is more of that.
Well, I figured so much, yeah.
Every day after they complete both of their respective missions, they meet up on top of this tower to have what else but a ice cream together.
Yeah.
Today, day 255 though, is a relatively special day. That's why we're starting there. And Roxas wonders where she is. Who is she? We'll figure that out later. But as they just sit there, have ice cream, and just like be friends, Axel suddenly asks Roxas if he knows why the sun sets red. And I think I might have a screenshot of... I don't have a screenshot of the setting sun. Never mind. Followed by Axel actually giving like a scientifically accurate explanation as to how wavelengths of light work.
Mm-hmm. The same reason why the sky is blue.
Yeah, pretty much. This is all just a cutscene that sets up like their friendship, the dynamic of them, because after we do that, we go all the way back from day 255 to day number 7. And that's where we actually start the game. Roxas
starting as one is too damn mainstream.
Well, there is actually a reason to that, which I don't think I made a note of that, but I'll explain. Roxas, when he was first born, was kind of like a mindless zombie.
Well, was he mindless or was he heartless?
Well, he wasn't a heartless, he's a nobody.
Oh, yeah.
This is so fucking stupid already. But usually when a nobody is created, they maintain the memories of from when they were a human. This is explained a little bit later into this game, but I'll just cover it now. But Roxas is a special case because Sora went back to being a person before all of his memories could get into Roxas. He was only heartless for like a couple of minutes.
Right, because the power of love.
The power of love and straight hugs.
Uh-huh.
But that leaves Roxas existing, or non-existing, as a nobody without having all the memories that he's supposed to have from his life as Sora. That means he doesn't really have a personality, and he's also got a hard time making and retaining new memories at first. So during those first 7 days, there's literally nothing to show Roxas doing, because he was literally not capable of doing anything other than just standing there, pretty much like awake, comatose.
Being just a vegetable.
That's the first 7 days. But by day 7, he's starting to be a little bit more... He's showing a bit of personality and a bit of interaction and stuff like that. So that's why we start at day number 7. As well as another reason. Because Roxas has been with the organization for a week now. And finally, Organization 13 has 13 members. Because Roxas is number 13. A week after Roxas joins, we get introduced to a new organization member. That being number 14, called Xion. That is Xion. And Roxas feels, well, he doesn't have a heart, so he doesn't feel anything. But he feels something when he sees number 14.
Well, you know, he's about that age.
You don't need a heart to get horny.
Yeah.
Just getting the demonetization. This channel isn't monetized anyway, it doesn't matter.
Well, you do need a heart to get hard.
Well, you do need to... But now we go back to my explanations of Kingdom Hearts 1. When we're saying a heart, we don't mean physically the organ that's pumping your body. We mean like the Kingdom Hearts version of a soul.
Yeah, all right.
But you do need a bloodstream to... Anyway, day number 8. You go into tutorial mission with Axel. So now that you have a bit of personality and you can actually do things, the organization is like, Axel, go teach this kid how we do things around here, because he's kind of important. So
with ice cream.
Well, this is afterwards.
Right.
Because Axel just shows you like, okay, like this is a Heartless. You have a Keyblade. You smack it with your Keyblade, it dies. Do this over and over again until the day ends, and then we can go home. That's pretty much day number 8. But when they finish their mission, Axel takes him up to the tower for having just a nice bit of ice cream. Sea salt ice cream, that is. That's important. That's not actually that important. They just make a thing out of it. But let's take a moment actually to make sure you remember that, because generally, like, a lot of Kingdom Hearts characters come in trios. You might have noticed, or you wouldn't have noticed yet. You will definitely notice in the future, because you've got Sora, Kairi, and Riku, which is a trio. Then in this game we have Axel, Roxas, and I'll just tell you now, they also become pretty good friends with Xion, that new person that just was introduced.
Yeah, I figured so much.
Which is also a trio. And then in the prequels, we also have a trio. And this trio, by fans, is referred to as the Sea Salt trio because they always have sea salt ice cream together. It's not lore relevant, but if in the future I refer to them as that, you know what I'm talking about.
Right. Also not relevant, but sea salt ice cream? For real?
Yeah, apparently that's a thing.
That sounds disgusting.
I've never had it.
Caramel sea salt I can get into. Don't really like it, but sure. That has something. But just salt ice cream? What in the actual fuck?
Well, I should clarify that the way these ice creams look, it looks like they're water-based ice cream, which is not ice cream because ice cream would be purely dairy-based product. But sea salt ice cream is a dairy-based ice cream, which makes that a little bit better than just literally just frozen salt water.
I don't know if that makes it better.
I don't know, I think that makes it better, but I was actually thinking that when we get to like Kingdom Hearts 3, we could have a recording session in person, and I'd look into whether or not I can get some sea salt ice cream, because I've never had it either, and I'm curious as hell.
Yeah, that would be. Also, just a physics thing, or chemistry, or whatever. Having salt ice cream makes it a lot harder to, have ice cream, because
that's why it's that's why it's dairy based and not water based. And I know milk is mostly water.
That's the same problem. That just means you have to keep your ice below like minus 15, minus 20, something like that.
I don't know. I think the fact that it's not, I think having it with whole milk does make it easier to freeze. It's not going to be like super hard. But
yeah,
that like ice cream isn't like frozen solid anyway.
No, that's right, and it's having it with whole milk does make it a lot more fatty. So yeah, sure.
I don't know what the other ingredients in it are. I doubt it's literally just milk and salt. Which, if that is what it is, that doesn't. Well, it would be milk, salt, and sugar.
Yeah.
Anyway, they eat a lot of sea salt ice cream, and they've all got diabetes now.
Yay.
But they're nobody, so it doesn't matter.
If you have nobody, then it also can't get fat. But.
Exactly. If you don't exist, you can't die. Only if that were true. I mean, we've seen Axel die already, so...
Yeah.
Back to the eating sea salt ice cream, and Roxas is like a little more responsive, but he's not like a person yet. Well, none of them are people because they're nobodies, but he doesn't have a personality yet. And Axel is like, do you remember my name? And he's like, Axel. And do you remember our boss's name? It's Zamnus. Do you remember your name? It's Roxas. And in order for Roxas to help develop memories, because he's having trouble with that, as I explained before, Axel comes up with the catchphrase that we know him for by this point, which is got it memorized. Later this is retcons, but I like to believe that this is where he came up with the phrase, because it has like emotional significance, because he came up with it to help Roxas.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds more wholesome, and yeah.
For the time being, like, we get to like prequel stuff where he's already saying it and already doing things like that. I like to pretend like that never happens. So, yeah. Axel tries to help Roxas like jumpstart his memory a little bit, asking him questions, helping him remember things, and they're starting to become friends because Roxas literally knows nothing and nobody. And Axel's helping him, and Axel kind of like feels like he should take care of this very vulnerable person. And he explains that I'm helping you because you're my friend now. And friends laugh together, and they hang out, and they do fun stuff, and they like eat ice cream together and stuff like that, you know?
No, he doesn't.
You mean they're not eating the ice cream? Because I'll tell you, they eat the ice cream. They don't lick it. They like fucking bite it. And I've had to sit through 3 hours of that to get this PowerPoint. So yes, they do.
Yeah, but saying throwing the phrase at someone who has no memories and trouble keeping memories, that's just that's just harsh.
That's true. I don't know if he says literally, but yeah, he has to explain to Roxas that they are now friends and what friendship is to begin with.
Right. Good luck explaining that shit.
Yeah, it's a pretty difficult concept to grasp. So we stick with just like laughing together, having fun, spending time together, eating ice cream, choosing to spend your free time together, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Then we jump to day 22, where Roxas and Axel are, apparently we're still on this slide, meeting up to have ice cream after every mission now. And Axel says he's going to miss this little thing they do, because soon he's going to have to go away on a special mission for a little while with some of the other organization members, because they're going to Castle Oblivion. So this is roughly where Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories starts. They run in parallel.
So after day 22, he's or a bit more. He's like, you've learned enough. Go do your own shit.
Pretty much. This is roughly where I would say the tutorial stops anyway, and where you have a hang of most of the gameplay mechanics as well. So that fits. But it's more so that they've just gotten in the habit of hanging out after work, and Axel now has to go leave because he's assigned a mission on like another destination for long term. And that's where we get the whole thing of like Sora entering Castle Oblivion, losing all of his memories, and so that starts right around this time. So between the time where he stabs himself in Kingdom Hearts 1 and the actual end of Kingdom Hearts 1 is almost a month.
Damn.
The timeline gets a little weird here because by nature of how this game is structured, we know how long things take in Kingdom Hearts 1 and Chain of Memories now.
Mm.
And that was never intended to be the case while writing those games, clearly.
Yeah.
Because if I remember correctly, I think I have a note of it, but the entirety of Chain of Memories takes like 2.5 months.
So there's about a year missing there.
After Chain of Memory ends, Sora starts sleeping for the remainder of that year. He doesn't sleep for the entire year, but he sleeps for like 9 months out of that year or something.
Yeah, that kind of adds up.
But that does mean, and this is just like my weird brain going, Sora was inside Castle Oblivion for 2 whole fucking months, slowly losing his memory. Right. Did they just like sleep in the hallways between worlds? What did they eat? How did they get food inside of this fucking castle? Did the organization members just show up? Here, Sora, is your dinner. We're going to like fight in a bit, but first you're gonna make it through the next world. How did that work? It feels like that game takes like a day or 2 to go through, but it's 2 fucking months.
I mean, if you're in a plane of existence that it's between reality, then do you really need food?
You actually have a pretty good point as to like the whole time dilation thing. Because time dilation between different realms and different worlds is a thing. I think we touched on that at the end of Kingdom Hearts 2 real quick in all the reports, which you probably glazed over because it's not that important.
And my brain was about to explode. Yeah,
exactly. But Castle Oblivion is located in like between the realm of light and darkness. And we know that things in the realm of darkness have a different flow of time. So what could be 2 months for Roxas very well could have been just an afternoon for Sora in Castle Oblivion.
All right. So we're getting timey-wimey.
We're getting a little timey-wimey, and mostly that timey-wiminess is probably there to explain away the fact that they couldn't, like, the exact issues that I just offered. Like, how did Sora survive in Castle Oblivion for 2 whole months after this game was released? Because this game, they shouldn't have structured it with like literal days. But what do you know? Axel,
but if you're getting timey-wimey, then it might be to the outside world that they've been there for like 2 days or whatever, or an afternoon, or I don't give a fuck. But for him, that's still just like 2 months. So is your experience separate from your like digestive system, or what? There's still some issues there.
Well, if we go with like real world physics based explanations, which we should not do.
No.
You can think of it as the realm of darkness having a very low gravity.
Yeah, but
and
that's still...
everything else having very high gravity. So he literally experiences time at a different rate.
Right, but that's still your whole body experience. Even though your experience is like 2 months and someone else's experience is a few hours, that still means you've lived those few months and you need to eat.
Yeah, but it's the other way around, right? Because for Roxas, that it would have been 2 months, but for Sora, it would have only been like 2 days.
Right. Yeah, I guess.
So that would make a certain amount of sense, but we're looking way too deep into the physics of somebody who... In the next game, I'll show you that this person doesn't understand science, because the next game is all about computers.
Oh, God.
And we've already seen what computers look like in Kingdom Hearts, so...
Yeah.
Long story short, day 22, Axel's like, hey, soon I'm going to have to go. I'll hopefully be back soon, but I don't know when or if I'll be back.
You've lived for about 3/4 of a month. You have enough experience to fend on your own. Get fucked.
Exactly. You'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah, sure.
So, day 23 comes around, and Axel gets ready to go to Castle Oblivion. But Syx, as we remember him from the X marks the spot literally right on his face, has a secret mission for Axel, or a message, rather. And that is that Castle Oblivion, the people being sent there, it's not entirely at random. Vaxen is getting sent there because he's the scientist and they're doing research over there. Axel's getting sent there because he has a secret mission. But most everybody else that's getting sent there is being suspected to be traitors to the organization. And if Axel should find any evidence of them being traitors, his secret mission is to fucking just murder them. Which we see happen in Chain of Memories. Axel murders literally 90% of the people at Castle Oblivion.
Right, but at the end, he's also a traitor, right?
In Kingdom Hearts 2, then, he becomes a traitor himself due to everything that happens in this game.
All right.
But at this time, he's loyal to the organization. At the end of Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories itself, he is mostly loyal to the organization. He does one thing that's out of line, and he's keeping some information, which we'll get to a little later, that he probably should have disclosed to like his management, but he didn't. So his morality is a little in question here. But he's not full-on traitor yet.
Wait, do they know?
They don't. Nobody knows about Axel's...
Right, because that would be kind of stupid to send someone on a mission to eradicate the traitors if you're suspecting someone to be a traitor.
Well, at this point, Axel is 100% on board with the organization. It's throughout his experiences in Chain of Memories that slowly start to chip away at him and make him think, okay, maybe I've got my own opinions on things. In Chain of Memories, you might remember that at some point he lets Naminé leave.
Yeah.
That's something he decides in and of himself and was not part of the organization's plans. Matter of fact, that goes against the organization plans. But that is something that happens due to his character development in Chain of Memories. At this point, before going to the castle, he's 100% just organization positive, on board with their plans, even though he doesn't quite know what their plans are.
All right.
It's really bad timing, though, that he leaves, because the moment he leaves, Roxas decides, okay, I'll just go up and get ice cream on my own, because I don't have any other friends, but I like this sea salt ice cream because I'm insane.
Uh-huh.
And the next day, when Axel is gone, he gets a stick, an ice cream stick with the word winner on it, and he has no fucking idea what that means.
Yay.
And he's like, okay, when Axel gets back, I'll have to ask him. But, of course, by the time he gets back, Roxas will have forgotten entirely about this stick, because it's literally a piece of wood with writing on it. At day 25, Roxas, still less than a month old, is now a real big boy organization member and gets sent out to mentor the other newbie, Shion. That's her. That's number 14 out of organization 13. Fucking love that.
You gotta have spares. Especially in this organization.
I think it was 3, there's like 17 of them, so yeah. You are 100% correct. With the exact, like, they actually give that logic. Like, we have spares this time.
Yeah.
But this is Shion. This is the other main character of this game, which is pretty much the reason we are covering this game to begin with.
Wait, before we move on.
Yeah.
Does she have a personality?
Out of all of the girls in this series so far, she's got the most personality.
Progression.
Which is to say, she actually makes decisions. Kind of. She knows there is decisions to be made, and she is contemplating making the decisions, but then the world makes a decision for her.
It's something.
She's not a damsel in distress, at least, like Kairi and Namane were.
Alright, still some progression.
And we've now had the 3 major hair colors, all with the same fucking face under them. We've had a redhead, a blonde, and now we've got black hair.
Yay. And now the game makers are fucked.
Yeah, now they have to recycle. They have to change the actual face. There is a reason they all look alike. We'll get to it.
Of course.
But yeah, this is Shion. So Roxas is now doing the same thing for her that Axel did for him a couple of weeks ago, and that's teaching her, like, okay, what we do here is we find Heartless and we fucking murder them so that we can capture their hearts.
Uh-huh.
And
yeah, because that still makes sense, the fact that you're extracting hearts out of Heartless.
It's a thing. I don't know what to tell you. It's just a thing.
Yeah. Anyway.
But during the mission, Roxas gets knocked the fuck out and drops his Keyblade, at which point Shion picks up the Keyblade. That's not really what's going... It's not Shion because, like, she on. But I do like your thinking. I'll get into what her name means towards the end, because all the organization members, as we've covered before, have, like, a human name.
Yeah, I was thinking that, like, they all have, all their names are the letters rearranged with an X in it. So I was thinking, like, what's that gonna be? Is she called? Is her name Ion or Oni or what?
No, and you're not gonna guess it, but revealing that now would spoil some things that we're gonna get into in a bit. But if I don't cover it at any point, do feel free to bring me back to this and explain it, because you're not gonna like it.
Okay.
But Shion can wield a Keyblade. She just picks up, Sora, Roxas. I suppose that's also Sora's Keyblade. And starts murdering the Heartless that just took out or took down Roxas.
Power girl. Yeah.
Apparently, in my notes, she takes her hood off after this, which is just not correct. So my notes are already bad. But after the mission, Roxas doesn't really know how to, like, deal with social situations and, like, person-to-person interaction. So he's like, you can come up with me for ice cream if you want to. Because that's a thing we do, apparently.
Uh-huh. Because friends do fun stuff and eat ice cream. That's all he knows.
Exactly. Explaining that he always comes up here. I think I have a screenshot of that. Yeah, there we go. Literally extending a olive ice cream branch.
Cute.
Explaining that usually he would do this with Axel, and Axel is his friend, but Axel isn't here right now, so they can have ice cream together. And that prompts Shion to ask, does that mean we are friends too? And so, I'm going to say Sora a lot. Roxas says, I don't know, I guess, maybe. I'm not really the expert on this. We'll have to ask Axel when he comes back whether or not we are friends.
He's about a month old. He ain't an expert in shit.
Very true. I should point out, by the way, that much like Roxas, being a very special case in being a nobody that doesn't have memories of his human life, Shion has the same thing. She doesn't have memories of when she was a person.
Of course.
Everybody else, like Axel and Sayax and Xamanas and Zigbar, and those are the only relevant ones, and then the rest, they all have just memories of when they were a human. These two specifically are the only ones that don't.
This is just a pet peeve of mine, but I kind of hate it when you set up a world, it has rules, and then your main characters are the exception to the rule. I mean, that I guess that is the thing that makes them main characters. I get that, but
it's
still annoying.
It's a spin on the Chosen One archetype.
Yeah, I guess.
And Chosen Ones don't generally make for very interesting writing.
Yeah.
And that's why I was very happy that Kingdom Hearts doesn't really do... I mean, it does the Keyblade choose you part, but that's not because you're the chosen one. That's because you're worthy of it. Like, the fact that you can lift Mjolnir in Marvel doesn't mean you're the chosen one. It just means that you're worthy to carry it.
Yeah.
Later on, they fucked that up.
Of course.
Shion thinks, hey, maybe me and Roxas are friends now, but we'll have to wait for Axel to judge whether or not we're friends. Day 26... Roxas hears that everybody being sent to... Well, that's not this screenshot, but we can go there.
Like this, he ain't hearing shit.
But he hears that everybody that's sent to Castle Oblivion is not expected to return, which Roxas doesn't like that, because one of those people was his friend, and he needs Axel to know whether or not Shion is his friend as well. So he can't go ahead and die, because he can't, like, Roxas still needs him. On that mission, that day, Roxas gets a headache and passes out, seeing some weird flashes of Axel and Shion, and apparently I don't have a screenshot of it, Namine, in his mind. And this is roughly where Sora enters Castle Oblivion and starts working on fucking up Sora's memories. So that's also affecting Roxas, because they're linked. Roxas passes out, doesn't wake up for a while, because we skip to day 49, about 20 days later. 23, to be exact. And Shion has been visiting Roxas, who is asleep in his room at the organization headquarters. And every day she visits him after a mission, she brings a seashell. There we go.
Cute.
And this is also the day where Sora goes into his pod to start recovering his memory. So I said it was 2 months. It's from day 23 to day 49. Is a little over a month, is how long chain memories take. So it's a little shorter than I thought. But now that Sora is snoozing, a day later, day 50, is where our boy Roxas wakes up again. This gives the implication that only one of them can be awake at a time. That's not the case. I just want to
of course not.
Go ahead and say that, because they've been awake for like the first 20 or 30 days of Roxas' life at the same time.
Yeah.
But for the longest time, people were under the impression that only one of them can be awake. So I want to make sure that you don't jump to that same wrong conclusion. I
mean, by this point, I've learned that whenever you jump to conclusions within this series, most of the time you're wrong.
Yeah. So day 50, Roxas is waking up. He can do everything again. He can go back onto missions. So, but nobody from Castle Oblivion is still back. So Rox is still a little bit worried, but there's nothing he can do. So we move forward to day 71, another 21 days later, and Roxas, running around Twilight Town after that day's mission, runs into Axel, being very surprised that he is still alive. And he kind of tells Axel off, like, dude, I was super worried about you. And Axel just shrugs it off, like, dude, you're a nobody. I don't think you can even feel worried. To which Roxas says, oh yeah, that makes sense. I'll go buy you some ice cream.
I have emotions. No, you don't. Okay.
That's pretty much what that scene is. But then Axel tells Roxas that he hasn't reported back to headquarters yet. He hasn't told their boss what went on in Castle Oblivion yet. He wants to come see Roxas first and have ice cream before going back home. Guessing he just maybe needed a little bit of time to sort out his feelings, which, of course, Roxas responds to, I thought you didn't have any feelings.
Yeah.
And they just laugh together, which you definitely need feelings for to do, while they have ice cream. And Roxas tells Axel about Shion, how they have started to have ice cream together every single day after the missions, and thinking that maybe all three of them together can have some ice cream sometime.
Yay.
By the way, now that we're a little bit into this whole ice cream business, somebody said to me a little while ago that this game becomes an entirely different game when you replace the word ice cream with sex. But everything still makes sense. It's just, it becomes an entirely different game.
Yeah. It needs a new age rating then, and yeah.
But the fact that like literally every instance of the word ice cream can be replaced and like the story doesn't change at all, only like how should I word this? You get my point. Anyway.
Yeah.
So day 72, we move on to Syx barging into Axel's room. Without ice cream, I might add. No ice cream to be found here. Also no sex.
Oh.
And Syx isn't that happy that Axel didn't report in right away, because he had heard that Nominee has gone missing and they don't like that one bit. And as you remember, I already mentioned it today, Axel is the one that let her escape, but of course nobody at the organization knows about that. And Axel isn't about to fill them in on that, because that would be a bad idea. And then they go on to also ask about the chamber that they were looking for, and did Axel find the chamber? And here I want to cast you back to a cutscene in Kingdom Hearts 2 again, which I very much doubt you remember.
Is that the big old round chamber with the chair in the middle and all of the symbols and shit?
You do remember, at least part.
Yay.
Because that is the Chamber of Repose. And in Castle Oblivion, there is a chamber that mirrors that, which gets explained in a cutscene like 5 minutes after the cutscene with the chair in the room.
Yeah.
And in Castle Oblivion, there's a Chamber of Waking, which is what the organization is looking for reasons. Axel was sent there to, well, the entire group, but Axel's the only one that's still alive out of that group, to find that chamber as part of their mission. But Axel said, dude, we turned that entire place inside and out, but we can't find it. We know it's there, we just no idea how to get to it.
Would be convenient if you had someone that had a, a big old key that could open any door.
Well, they can't even find the door, is the thing.
Yeah, fair point.
So maybe if they found the door to that chamber and they needed to open it, they could bring Roxas or Shion, because they have a big-ass key.
Yeah.
But they don't even have that. They just know somewhere in this castle is a place that we're looking for. We have no idea how to get to it or where it is or what it even looks like.
Who has the fucking blueprint?
We'll get to that. Not in this game, but we'll get to that. Meanwhile, Shion has been missing for an entire 10 days.
Well, that ain't good.
That's no idea where she is, but on their mission on day 74, Roxas and Axel run into Shion, which means that Axel finally gets to meet Shion. But the issue is Shion ran away because she can't summon a Keyblade anymore.
No.
And without a Keyblade, the organization doesn't really have much use for her. Because the only... I don't know if I explained this well enough in Kingdom Hearts 2. The only way the hearts get captured from a Heartless is if they're killed with a Keyblade. With any other kind of weapon, they just reform somewhere else. The darkness just gets displaced, not captured.
Okay, yeah.
So what the hell the other 12 people in this organization are doing all day, I don't know.
I mean, somebody has to do accounting.
Yeah, fair enough. So one of the anime boys is definitely doing numbers. Definitely. But
paying taxes and stuff.
It's probably, but 12 people? Well, there are only 2 people out and about doing the actual work. I don't know. And it's not even 2 people, because Shion lost the ability to use the Keyblade.
And they're the 2 people with, no memories and stuff.
And those are the only 2 people that can actually do the job they need to do. So when Shion loses the Keyblade, she immediately jumps to the conclusion like, okay, so they need me for my Keyblade. I don't have a Keyblade. That's probably not good for me. But when Shion runs into Roxas, he's like, I got you. We can just I can just do double duty. Well, it's actually Axel's idea. To say, Roxas, why don't you do double duty for Shion? So that nobody knows that she doesn't do anything until we figure this whole thing out.
Just do double the work for half the pay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
If they don't even get paid, so who cares?
They are. I was going to say they're a live-in organization. What they really are is just a slave organization, because members aren't free to exactly leave either, except Shion, which Shion leaves like 4 times during this game. But they thank Axel for coming up with this brilliant idea of just Roxas doing extra work without getting any extra benefits. And Axel just shrugs his off like, that's what friends are for, right? And Shion is like, am I your friend now? That's cool. And
also, again, saying, having the phrase, so like, that's what friends are for, right? For someone who is literally, well, it's about 3 months old now. No, they don't. So, whatever.
I'm going to send you a link to a cutscene that pretty much covers everything we've just discussed, but I want to watch this cutscene together. I'll probably cut it out of the actual episode, but for purely cinematic reasons, I want you to be able to see this.
What the hell's up with her hood?
Okay, we can stop watching now. That's the entire point of this cutscene. We don't need to watch the entire 4 minutes.
Is it the hood is up for Axel and the hood is down for Roxas?
Yeah, every time she's talking to Roxas or on screen only with Roxas, the hood is up. When she's talking to, in this case, Axel, but also pretty much any other character, the hood is up. And towards the end of that cutscene, we see the hood also come down when she talks to Axel.
It's like a trust thingy?
It's more so that, and we'll get a little deeper into the explanation later, but she looks different to different people.
Okay.
She doesn't really, she doesn't technically have a face of her own in a way.
So at this point, we've got nobody. We've got Heartless, and now we have Faceless.
Not quite. Again, I'll be able to get a little bit more into how the mechanics of this work once we get a little bit more explanation on the background for Shion, and that'll happen pretty soon. But right now, the way it works is the way Shion looks, at least her face and hair and stuff like that. is based on the connection you have with her. And for Roxas, and now Axel too, but Axel at first didn't have a connection with her, so there's nothing really to see for her face. Roxas, through his connection with Sora, already has a sort of connection with her, and that's why she looks like this to him. Axel also met Sora in Castle Oblivion, and as such projects the same kind of connection onto Xion.
Yeah.
Because Xion is somehow also related to Sora, which again we'll get into a little bit later. But that's kind of how it works, and it's way more apparent in the DS version, because the DS version has a lot more of these like text cutscenes. This was not originally a voice acted cutscene in the original. And there it's way more apparent that when she's talking to Roxas, we have a little like pixel art character portrait of her with her hood down. When she's talking to Axel, it's with the hood up. Translating that into an actual like cinematic cutscene, they did it as well as would have worked, I think. Because
I got the point.
You caught on pretty immediately. But it is a little jarring at first. So day 94, we're going through these days pretty quickly. So we have some examples here. Day 94, Xion has a Keyblade again.
Yay.
Actually, I don't think that's what happens at day 94. I think I skipped a couple of things in the screenshots. Day 94 is a speech from Xemnas about Kingdom Hearts and what they're fighting for, and collecting hearts to complete Kingdom Hearts. We all know this from Kingdom Hearts 2.
Right.
And Roxas doesn't really understand. Oh, that's what this screenshot is, of course. Roxas doesn't get what all the hype about having a heart is all about. He's pretty content with his life where he is.
He doesn't know any better. So.
He doesn't know any better. He's got two friends. They have so much ice cream together. They have fun. What does he need?
And they're still not fat.
And they're still not fat because they don't have a heart, so they can't have a heart attack. Hey!
Yay!
And that's what Axel explains. Well, hearts is what makes people unique. And Roxas goes, well, everybody in the organization is pretty unique, and they don't have hearts. Where Axel explains here, well, we're all still unique because we have memories from what it used to be like when we had a heart. And that's why we also can display these pseudo emotions, because we remember what it's like to be sad and angry and happy, but we don't actually feel it, is the explanation they're going with anyway.
So Roxas is asking the questions that I normally do.
Yeah. Roxas is exactly in your kind of position, knowing nothing and just being very confused.
Yeah.
But of course, Roxas and Xion don't have memories from when they were human. But they still have a personality. They still are their own selves, and they still seem to display some sort of emotional output, at least. Which,
well, I mean, Xion is a girl, so personality, I don't know.
They have more personality than having no heart and no memories should account for, at least.
Yeah.
So that kind of like screws up that theory, but Axel doesn't like to think about it because fucking I don't care. I don't have a heart, I want a heart because my manager tells me I should. And then, on day 96, now this time for real, Xion gets her Keyblade back. There's nothing more to it, it's just she's been practicing for a while. She spends the day actually using Roxas' Keyblade, and at the end of the day, she can summon her own again. She just needed to be reminded of how it feels to have one, I guess. Then we move on to day 117. We're past the 100 mark now, where there's still no ice cream in this scene, but Syx and Axel are having a bit of a talk again, because Syx wants to know more about Xion from Axel. Axel and Xion have become friends, and Syx is like, I can use that for intel, so tell me about her. Tell me about Xion. He tells Axel that he's going to have to go back to Castle Oblivion soon as well, to go find the Chamber of Waking. And also because Xion was actually born in Castle Oblivion. She comes from there. And that's all we're going to reveal about that for now. All in all, Xemnas is up to some shady shit, and he's not sharing it with Syx. And Syx feels really butthurt about that because he was real sure that he was the number 2 of the organization. So he wants to know what Xemnas is up to. And Axel and Syx also, aside from that, seem to be working on some other kind of plan. Something, I will tell you right now, that still to this day in 2023 has not been fully delivered on.
Alright.
There's a little bit more information on it in very recent games. And it seems like this is relevant for what's going to come over the next couple of years.
Wait, but Syx dies at the end of the of Kingdom Hearts 2, right?
And so does Axel, yeah.
Yeah, so there are prequels and stuff, and it's all timey-wimey bullshit, but if you're dead, you ain't working on shit.
You would think so.
But then again, we got Force Ghosts in this world, so who knows?
We'll get to that. Next game, we'll start to understand how that works together. Actually, is it the next game or is it different? I think it's not even the next game. It's kind of hard to. At the end of the prequel, I will explain, which is not the next game, but the game after that.
That's the one where we've, of which we've seen that trailer thingy, right?
Yeah, that's that one with the badass armor and stuff like that.
And the Keyblade graveyard and
yeah, which is actually what that place is called, by the way. It's literally called the Keyblade Graveyard.
Yeah, I mean that's just the descriptive name.
It's very descriptive. At the end of that game, I will explain to you more about how things work moving forwards, and that game will give you a lot of questions, but also some answers for what we're discussing now.
That's been the whole series up to now,
and that's not going to stop because that's a really good way to keep selling games.
Yeah, fair enough.
They are working on some sort of plan. Shion is from Castle Oblivion. Axel's going to have to go back to Castle Oblivion, and they want to know what Xemnas is up to. Back on the clock tower, because that's where this entire fucking game takes place. Shion and Axel are talking, and Shion mentions how she's just sitting there. And no, that's not what she's saying. That's not at all. Shion says how sitting there feels like something she used to do a long time ago. But instead of sitting on a clock tower watching the sunset, she feels like she used to sit on a beach watching the sunset instead. It's not really a memory. She doesn't really remember it. It's just a feeling of nostalgia she has.
I was thinking this before, but this kind of a confirmation.
It's probably not.
Probably not. But the fact that Sora, like Roxas, comes from Sora, but in very weird circumstances, is Sion the heartless of
nobody?
Nobody of God damn it, what's her name?
Kairi. No, that would be altogether make too much sense.
Yeah.
So no.
All right.
That is definitely the conclusion they want you to jump to, though. So well done on that. That is definitely what they're leaning into, but that's not actually what she is. But she does have a relation to both Sora and Kairi. So the fact that she looks like Kairi is still like, there still is some link there. It's just not like literally being the nobody of. Because Namine already is the nobody of Kairi.
Right. Yeah. Forgot about her.
Yeah, because she hasn't. They both have the exact same personality, which is
None.
woman that needs saving, because this was early 2000s. Well, to be fair, we're at mid 2000s now, so we're getting somewhere.
I mean, we've got a female personality with some sort of personality, so we're getting somewhere.
It's a start. It's definitely a start. Day 118. Let's get moving on to day 118, where Roxas actually gets the day off. They all have a bit of a vacation. But Roxas, having either been a mindless zombie or working every day for his entire existence, has no idea what the fuck he's supposed to do with a day where he doesn't have work. Honestly, I kind of empathize with that a lot.
Yeah.
He runs into Hena, Pans, and Olets, the Twilight gang from Kingdom Hearts 2.
Uh-huh.
And later when Axel joins him, he wonders if those kids are on summer vacation already, because it seems way too early for their summer vacation to already have started. And Roxas is like, what the hell is a summer vacation? There's I know we're having a vacation here, but what is a summer vacation? And Axel
There are multiple?
There's multiple? What the hell is this? Axel explains to him that a summer vacation is where kids get an entire month off of school. And Roxas...
At this point, that would be like, you're getting your whole life off.
More or less, because at this point, Roxas is almost 4 months old.
Yeah.
But Roxas definitely doesn't like the sound of that, because he had a hard time filling up his one free day. But a whole month? No way. He doesn't want that. He can't do that. That's not his jam. But maybe he could fill up 7 days at most, which is a reference to the first 7 days of Kingdom Hearts 2, because Kingdom Hearts 2 starts with the tutorial. It's also structured in days, which is 7 days until he rejoins with Sora. That's what this is referring to. I don't think I really made the structure of the tutorial clear in Kingdom Hearts 2, which I should have. And that's, by the way, that is why this is 358, because 358 plus 7 is an entire year.
Yeah.
Roxas existed for literally an entire year. To the day.
All right.
Later, back at the castle, we've got Pricky McPrickface again, telling Axel not to get too attached to Roxas and Shion, and that Axel has changed lately.
How can you get attached to something if you don't have emotions?
You would wonder that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But Axel definitely has gotten attached.
Yeah. Too late.
Too late. You can tell me that now, but that's only going to make it worse. And, well, Axel goes back to Castle Oblivion, does his thing there until day 149, where he is back. But now, where is Shion? Shion isn't joining them up in having ice cream, which they do this every day. Where is Shion? Well, Shion apparently sitting on a bed, being sad.
That's a really big bed.
That you mention it, the scale of that bed is a little weird.
I mean, I get having a wide bed. That's just for rolling around and stuff and having ice cream. But having a really long bed?
Well, I don't know if I have a lot of screenshots of it, but there's a strong implication that Shion and Roxas are much younger.
Having ice cream?
Maybe. Again, you'll regret saying that in a moment. They are much shorter than literally everybody else in the organization because they are the youngest, even though they're supposed to be like 14, 15-ish at this point. So they should not be that much shorter than the people that are like 20-ish.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more like 25. They should be pretty close in height, but in order to like make that difference very apparent in their age, Shion and Roxas are significantly shorter than the rest. So when Axel is laying on his bed, he actually like fills up most of this length.
No, really.
Especially when he's having ice cream. Oh my god. Okay. So we see a flashback to a fight she had with Riku, which is the reason that she's sad. Day 150, we see Riku having the same flashback to that same fight. And while he's having that flashback, I don't think I have a screenshot of this. No, we don't. He grasps the air in front of him as if trying to summon a Keyblade, but nothing appears. Back at the castle, Shion is begging Sayax to give her just one more chance. But he says, yeah, you're all out of chances. You were a mistake. We should never have made you as a mistake.
Oh, that's what you get when you have unprotected ice cream.
Yep. Always have ice cream with a rubber. So that's everything we have for Shion on day 150, apparently.
Uh-huh.
Roxas, after his mission, asks Axel about having something that you couldn't bear to lose. Axel explains that they, as nobodies, don't really have things like that because they don't have a heart.
Except for the heart. But they already lost that, so...
Yeah. Which apparently means that they can bear to lose it because they still exist without a heart.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Axel says, we as nobodies don't really have stuff like that. But then Roxas responds, but what about Demix, for instance? That's the guy with the huge-ass sitar from Kingdom Hearts 2. If we take away a sitar, I bet he would be pretty upset. And Axel thinks that, okay, yeah, that actually is a pretty good point. So maybe instead of feelings, it's memories of the past that make it so that you can't bear to lose something or someone. And of course, Roxas still isn't helped by this because he doesn't have memories of the past.
Mm-hmm.
But he does have memories with Axel and Shion, and that he couldn't bear to lose. So that's quite a dump of... He has a lot of emotional stuff. Well, we don't have emotions. Moving on to day 151, we see Riku having that flashback again. And this time, when Riku looks at Shion's face, because Riku beat her ass, then takes back her hood and looks at her face, he seems very surprised.
Very.
Because, as I covered, which at this point you're not supposed to know that, but this is the first real hint of that, Shion's face doesn't look the same to everyone. And what Riku sees here is a little weird. We don't see what he sees, but we can extrapolate. And I'll tell you later. Because his first question upon seeing her face is, why do you have a Keyblade? And then he goes to pick up his, or her Keyblade rather, saying, oh, I get it. This Keyblade is a fake.
Wait.
It's not a real Keyblade. It's a sham. And he tells her, you know, I get this whole situation now. You really should get some new friends. This organization you're hanging around with, they're bad news. You don't need to go about trusting them. That's a bad idea. Just take a hike. Like, don't stick with them.
So they got her a Keyblade from Wish.com?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Oh, and then yeah, they are bad friends. Yeah.
Definitely. And this is... Shion is like, who the fuck are you to say to me that my Keyblade is fake and that I need to abandon my friends? And Riku goes full on edgelord here, which I don't have a screenshot of. But he turns around, walking away from Shion, saying, you could say I am the biggest nobody of them all. Which I think Riku thinks is cool, but it's just very cringe.
Yeah.
Riku is not a nobody, by the way, in case you might logically assume that now. Uh-huh. He's not.
No. But that yeah, I mean...
it's nobody with a lowercase n.
Yeah. He's a nobody with a heart, kind of.
He means to refer to it to himself as I don't matter. That version of being a nobody, not being actually like the entity in this universe known as a nobody, and that's like kind of like the edgy pun he's making. But I fucking hate this scene so much.
It just makes it unnecessarily confusing and stuff. Yeah.
Usually they're pretty good about capitalizing like nobody with a capital N when it's referring to like a nobody. But that does require you to pay attention to the subtitles for stuff like this. And if you don't like having to pay attention to subtitles to get what the fuck they're talking about, you're gonna fucking love the prequel.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Luckily, the subtitles are always on in these games. In order to turn them off, you actually need to like mod the game. For good reason.
Well, yeah, if you're gonna put crucial information in there, you better turn them on.
If you're following along and playing the games, it's pretty Like, from context, you can also glean which version of certain words they mean without having the spelling or capitalization, but you want the subtitles. Like, in all these screenshots, I crop out the subtitles because they're distracting, but subtitles are always there.
Yeah, but... ain't nobody got time for that, but whatever. Sure.
Up at the clock tower, apparently, is where we're at.
Uh-huh.
Without Axel, presumably, I think. I can't keep track of who was where at which point.
Well, we can keep track of where they are, but they're at the clock tower, because they're always at the clock tower.
True. But I don't think Axel is here at the moment. But Shion asks Roxas why they're doing what they're doing. And Roxas says, well, to get hearts, you dumb bitch. And she's like, but do we really need those, though? And Roxas shrugs it off like, I guess we'll never know until we get them. Which Roxas is starting to actually make sense. Good on you.
Also, he doesn't know any better, so...
Yeah.
What else are you going to do?
If anything, she should definitely be asking Axel, because Axel has memories from when he had a heart. But he's not here, apparently. Shion, however, has been having strange dreams and not really remembering what those dreams are about when she wakes up. But all she knows is that when she wakes up, she feels scared.
That's annoying.
That is very annoying, because having nightmares is one thing. Having nightmares you can't remember is possibly worse.
Yeah.
Roxas, for some reason, thinks it's a reasonable response here to say, well, Zigbar told us that we're special nobodies. As if that has anything to do with the topic of nightmares.
Well, in this world, it could be.
Well, maybe with the topic of feeling scared, I suppose. Yeah. Shion decides to take this info in the literal most negative way possible, saying that saying I'm special is just another way of saying that I'm a mistake. Roxas might be special, but Shion and Roxas aren't the same. And she runs off, leaving Roxas utterly confused as to what the fuck just happened.
Yeah, that kind of sounds like a same sort of situation if your girlfriend asks, does my ass look fat in this? There are no right answers, and you're going to end up with a annoyed girl anyway.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happened here. Is she's like, I've been having these issues. Roxas somehow finds the least tactful thing to say. And on top of it being like a very dumb thing to say in that situation, Shion also then takes it in the literal worst way possible, which for people that don't have feelings, they definitely they're emotional teenagers. Moving on to day 171. Roxas...
Some Disney.
We see some Disney, yeah. The gameplay itself is all Disney worlds in this game, but of course we're watching cutscenes, so we're skipping all of the play. But Roxas, day 171, learns about love from watching The Beauty and the Beast. The people, not the movie. But he still doesn't really get it. Is that just like being super friends or something like that? But Axel...
So he is asking
about ice
what
cream.
is love? Yeah, also that.
Yeah, he doesn't understand love. He's like, okay, I understand what friendship is now. But what is this love thing? Is it like being extra good friends? And since this is a PG-13 game, that's definitely not the right screenshot to show with that sentence. Since it's a PG-13 game, Axel isn't about to explain having ice cream to him. So Roxas doesn't really get an explanation as to what the difference between love and friendship even is. And that's all we really have there. Roxas is starting to learn more about what people are like and what emotions exist and how people deal with them and how
and the birds and the bees having ice cream. And, yeah.
Exactly. Anyway, moving on to the other screenshot from just a moment ago.
Yeah.
Day 172. Remember when Roxas just took a month-long nap before? Well, Shiona's doing that now. Because everybody related to Sora needs to do a lot of sleeping.
It's tiring being related to Sora.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
It's tiring just like listening to Sora.
Also.
Or about Sora, even. But
Tell me about it.
Axel seems pretty worried about this, though, and goes to confront Syx about Shion. And I think for that I do have a screenshot.
Yay.
Wanting to know what the fuck is up with her. And Syx says that Shion doesn't have a right to be among their ranks to begin with.
Well, she isn't, because she's number 14.
that is accurate, yes. But the reason they allowed a number 14 into Organization 13 to begin with is because she's not really number 14. She's just like there as well. And they just they call her number 14 because why not? Make her feel included, but she's not really included. She's more of a tool than a member.
Does that make you feel included, being number 14 of our Organization 13?
Probably not. Or it could make you feel very special.
Yeah, that's also an option. But seeing as how she took the last thing that was said to her, I don't think she's going to take it that way.
Yeah, she ran off and then she took a month-long nap.
Yeah.
Because next time we join in back with Shion is day 193. Shion wakes up and Roxas is very surprised.
Holy fuck.
Because Roxas was just like watching her sleep, as you do. And suddenly she like jumps away.
Thinking about ice cream.
Thinking about ice cream. It's like, Shion, wake up. We can all have ice cream again. And she just like jolts awake. She just sits up very suddenly because, of course, she's been having nightmares, so she's waking up from a nightmare.
She's been having nightmares for a month, probably.
That seems like being out cold for a month and then also having constant nightmares seems very horrible.
Yeah,
I hadn't thought about that yet.
That will make you very tired, but not willing to sleep.
That's why she's sleeping for an entire month, because she's so tired. Anyway, she has some memory flashes from Sora and Kairi from Kingdom Hearts 1. Like, just visions from Sora's memories are appearing in her head. Which happens out on a mission, which I didn't... That doesn't happen when she wakes up. That's just like... Okay, let's take a step back. She wakes up, and Roxas is like, oh, you're awake. Great, I was just about to head out on my mission for today. And she asks, okay, can I join you? Because I'm not going to sit around the castle all day getting told I'm useless. I would much rather go with you and Axel on your mission. And Roxas is like, maybe you should rest up. Which, no, she just slept for an entire month. I don't think she needs any more rest.
Yeah.
Shion agrees with me, clearly, because she comes with them anyway. And at the end of the mission, Shion gets a headache and collapses. And that is when she sees those visions of Sora and Kairi's memories. When we get back to the castle, she collapses. The memories, apparently I have screenshots of all this. So many things that I skipped screenshots of, and now I get... Anyway, when they get back to the castle, Syx, very antagonistically, asks, oh, did it break again? And both...
You sexist bastard.
Well, Syx would definitely be getting cancelled. Yeah, no, true.
Yeah.
It's not even because Shion's a girl that he's calling her an it. But we're very close to the proper explanation of that. So let's keep moving on. Roxas and Axel both aren't very happy with both Shion being called an it and him being so antagonistic towards her. And Roxas doesn't really say anything significant, just glares at him. Axel gets straight up into his face. I don't have a screenshot of that. And tells Syx to just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, fair enough.
And after they walk off to go put Shion in her bed, again, because she hasn't spent enough time in there yet, Syx says out loud, mostly to himself, that he wonders what happened at Castle Oblivion to change Axel so much. And wondering if the past means nothing to Axel anymore. There's something going on there.
Yeah.
While Shion is sleeping, Roxas notes that Axel seems really worried about Shion, and that's very unlike him. And Axel explains, okay.
Why are you so worried about my girlfriend?
Yeah. Keep your hands off her, man. She's mine. I am the one who don't love her because I don't know what love is. But Axel explains, okay, let's go through this step by step, right? We all hang out at the clock tower and have ice cream together.
Yeah.
And I don't have to do that in any way, shape, or form. But I still decide to meet up with you both. Why do you think that is? Friendship and stuff. And that's the exact moment that Shion wakes up. Because why not?
Yeah.
After that, we cut to a scene of Namine drawing the trio. Roxas, Axel, and Shion. But when she goes to finish the drawing, putting a face on Shion, she actually pulls back her little pencil thing, deciding, you know what, let's not.
Yeah, makes sense. Sort of.
Day 194, Axel is reading books. Day 224, Namine and Diz are discussing the progress on Sora's memories, because it seems like something isn't quite right, and nobody is messing with that progress. Namine can piece together a fair bit of Sora's memories, but it seems like a piece of his memories is just gone. It's lost, making it impossible for her to reconnect everything the way it used to be.
I wonder where those memories are.
Oh, no idea. Namine says that if his memories become her memories, that she cannot survive it. And the one thing Diz picks up from this entire conversation is just the word she.
Because he's also a sexist bastard.
Yeah. Back with the actual main characters of this story.
Mm-hmm.
Shion asks Axel what Castle Oblivion is like. Because she and Roxas seem to be the only ones that never actually get sent to the castle. And she also falls off the clock tower.
No.
Seriously, why the fuck do people keep eating ice cream up here? She gets caught before she falls to her death and everything is fine. But it's mostly there to show that she's not quite 100% yet. And she definitely needs a little bit more rest and time to like restore.
Yeah, let's put her in bed some more.
That's all it is. This is at any given time in this series, one person has to be asleep. Day 225, Shion has a dope-ass triple monitor setup, which is very bad for your neck.
Yeah. Good for exercise, having to type on that big-ass keyboard, but...
Oh yeah, there's also 3 keyboards, it seems like. So maybe it's just 3 computers. Anyway, she's doing some research into organization databases and stuff like that. Then we skip another 30 days to day 255, where Shion finally gets to go to Castle Oblivion. Axel walks up to her, and says, dude, you shouldn't be here. And pretty immediately, Shion's like, oh yeah, I've got a bit of a headache. Probably shouldn't be here. But then again, the fact that I'm getting a headache here probably means that I should be here because there's things I need to know.
It's flashback time.
It is. It very, very much is. So Shion is very not amused with Axel telling her to just go home and calls Axel out finally on all of his bullshit, saying she's been having dreams about her life as a human, and in those memories, in those dreams, she's seen Axel right here in Castle Oblivion, and she wants to know what the fuck is up. So she runs off into one of the memory rooms in Castle Oblivion. Now, remember where we started the game at day 255?
Yeah.
We also see her look into a crystal ball.
Yeah.
We're back at that cutscene. So we started there because this is the start of the 3rd act.
Okay, yeah.
So the game starts with what we now know is the start of the 3rd act, then goes back all the way to the start to show you the setup and everything. Mostly, actually, this is the start of the 2nd act, because everything we've seen so far has been set up. Now everything is going to go horribly wrong, and then we have a climax at the end. And now we have a little bit more context as to why Axel, when Shion doesn't show up, looks so bothered. Because we don't have a screenshot of that, but when Roxas wonders, where is she? Why isn't she here? We get a close-up of Axel looking not very happy about it. And that's because he literally saw Shion at Castle Oblivion and he knows where she is, but he's not telling Roxas because it's probably not going to make Roxas particularly happy. Then we get to day 276, with Roxas being on the Destiny Islands, Sora's homeworld.
Okay, how the fuck did he get there?
Well, all the organization members can make those dark corridors so they can get from every place in every world to wherever the fuck they want.
Ah, right, yeah.
Because they're all nobodies, they have that code so they can just move through darkness.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll warn you here, the scene that we're about to go through, I also contemplated if we should just watch it or not, because it's kind of a trip. So
yeah, I'm down for that.
I don't have a link, so I'm just going to explain it to you anyway.
All right.
I can send it to you afterwards if you still feel like it would help, but I think this is pretty explainable. Because as Roxas is watching out over the sea, he sees Shion walking on the bridge a little while away. And he goes after Shion, of course, running to go meet her. But when she takes off her hood, it's not Shion. It's Zaxian from Chain of Memories.
Right.
And we also see the screen glitching a little bit when Zaxian reveals himself. So, Roxas gets to watch a cutscene from Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories play out from the Riku campaign, where Riku meets Zaxian and Zaxian, talks to Riku. And this is the scene where Riku accepts to use both light and darkness. That scene.
Yeah.
Roxas is seeing that happening in real time, even though that happened months ago.
And neither he nor Sora were there.
Yeah. Neither of them were there, and Riku looks entirely different by now. This is a Kingdom Hearts 1 and Chain Memories design. We've seen him with the longer hair and the blindfold, and this is not the actual Riku. Roxas can't deal with all of this meta bullshit and gets a headache, just like the both of us. So, while he falls to the ground, he turns into Shion.
Wait, what?
Then, when falling even further onto the ground, turns into Riku. And then turns into Sora. All while we hear the dialogue from the Chain of Memories cutscene playing in the background on a almost underwater-like filter.
Mm-hmm.
We then fade...
Well, this doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Yeah. We then fade to white, and we see Riku holding a sleeping or passed out Shion. And as she sleeps and she's dreaming, she asks, "Who am I? What am I here for?"
You know, the questions we all have.
Yeah. So everything we just saw presumably was a dream that Shion is having.
Mm-hmm.
Except that Roxas, as we later find out, did go to Destiny Islands on this same day. So don't ask me to explain what actually, objectively happens here, because I don't know.
Yeah.
If you feel like it would be helpful to watch this cutscene, I'm sure that I can find it very quickly and we can watch it. I don't think it's gonna make things much more clear.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna help.
No. Next we see what I assume to be a flashback with Riku and Namone talking. And this is where we get into a little bit more information about Shion. Because she's filling in she's filling Riku in on what's happening. Because Sora's memories are leaking through Roxas into Shion. She explains that as long as those memories are separate inside of Shion, just like floating around inside her, she can take them out without too much trouble. But as soon as they get weaved together too much with Shion's own memories and experiences, there's no way to get back those memories. At least not only those memories.
Uh-huh.
As it stands, if Namune were to jump in and rearrange all the memories she has now, Sora would wake up only to find that nobody would actually remember him.
What?
The actual mechanics of that are a little confusing and not well explained. There's a little bit more context to that a little later. It still doesn't make full sense, but that is why at the start of Kingdom Hearts 2, you might remember that people had forgotten Sora, and when he woke up, they all suddenly remembered him again. And at the time, I believe you asked, okay, so in the previous game, he forgot about everybody else, and now everybody else is forgetting about him.
Right.
And I told you those were not necessarily related. That's because everything that happens in Castle Oblivion was just him forgetting about people. People forgetting about him is because his memories aren't inside of him anymore. How does that affect the people other than Sora? I don't really have a good answer for you. But those are very much two separate things.
Okay, yeah, they're just two very confusing separate things.
Yeah. So, long story short, the actual plan as to what needs to happen is that Roxas and Xion both need to do a disappearing act, or else Sora cannot properly wake up. Back on Destiny Islands, we see Roxas running through a dark corridor away back to Twilight Town, meaning that while Xion and Riku were there, Roxas also was there. Which, again, comes back to what part of the previous cutscene was Roxas' perspective? What did he see? And what part was like a acid trip? I don't know.
Because why would you make a concise story?
This is just very... I like the visuals of Roxas turning into Xion, turning into... Riku's really the old one out there, then turning into Sora and stuff like that. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. If they had just excluded Roxas being here on this specific day as well. Just make it everything that happens there very clear that that's just a vision or a dream that Xion is having. And then that's all fine. The fact that Roxas is physically there as well on that same day at the same time, presumably even, because Riku sees him running away. But then Roxas later goes on to say that he didn't see anybody on the Destiny. Nothing here makes sense.
Because why would it?
It doesn't. It won't. It'll never.
Yeah.
We're getting pretty deep into it now, so we can go through a lot of things very quickly. So, while Shion's still out and asleep, she's also having a vision of her sitting on the tree on Destiny Island with Roxas and Axel. In the exact same configuration that Sora, Kairi, and Riku would always hang out here. That is, Sora sitting on the far side, Kairi in the middle, and Axel not even sitting on a tree, but just leaning back on it. Mm-hmm. And they're talking about... what are they talking about again? Oh yeah, talking about how she thinks she wasn't even supposed to exist. And she just wants to be with her friends, and that's all she wants. But all this stuff about being a mistake and stuff, it's really getting to her. As makes sense. Getting told you're a mistake is not a nice thing.
No.
Also, they made a promise at some point that when they have another day off, they would all go to the beach together. I kind of skipped over that because it didn't seem that significant in the cutscene I was watching. Apparently, this is a payoff to that, I guess.
Yeah.
It really shows the value that Xion holds to that promise, right? She really wants to go to this beach together with Axel and Roxas because she's got a thing for the beach due to her connection with Sora and Kairi and stuff like that. And she wants to share that with her friends. Which also I should have... this is a bit more difficult to explain. But I'll just give you the basic rundown. While the cutscene where they make that promise plays, the music track for that is called The Other Promise. Which is fitting because they were making a promise.
Yeah.
And The Other Promise is also the battle music for the Roxas battle in Kingdom Hearts 2. And the reason that's significant is because The Other Promise is a combination of Roxas's theme music and Xion's theme music.
Yeah, I'm not getting it, but
you might get it a little bit later. Just remember that it's not specifically important that plays during this cutscene. It's just one of the instances where it plays. And the other promise, this is the promise being made, is that they will share their time together, go to the beach, and just like be amazing best friends forever. And the promise is done with Shion, Axel, and Roxas, but specifically Shion and Roxas seem very like tightly connected through this, to the point where their leitmotifs for their theme music get mixed into the music that represents this promise. There's not too much of that going on, like music-wise, at least that I pick up on. I mean, I'm not like super musically inclined, but the fact that I picked up on it means that it's pretty obvious. It's just hard to explain that kind of thing in words, so it's not a thing that happens too often, luckily. Shion has been gone for a while, though, and Roxas still can't seem to keep his mind off her. So apparently somewhere in all that, I think I skipped over the fact that Shion is missing again.
It doesn't surprise me, but yeah, good to know.
But she's been missing for a while now. And Roxas still can't keep his mind off it. So Axel, being the good friend that he is, figures, we were ordered not to go out looking for her. But fuck that. Starting tomorrow, instead of eating ice cream after every single mission, we're going to go look for Shion. So, day 296. They have looked everywhere they know to look, except for in Castle Oblivion.
Nee.
So, day 297, they go to Castle Oblivion, and what else happens but headaches?
Of course.
Roxas gets a headache, of course, and Axel takes him away from the castle, thinking, okay, this probably wasn't a good idea. All while Roxas' head just gets flooded with a bunch of random memories belonging to Sora. He literally says, all these memories filling up my head or something like that. Mm-hmm. When Roxas wakes up in Twilight Town, they run into Shion and another guy in a robe. And Roxas is like, what the fuck are you doing with my girlfriend there, Mr. Roby dude? He's not, but Shion waits for Roxas to spot her for some reason, and then walks away through a dark corridor, leaving only the other robe guy to chase after, which they do. So Roxas and Axel chase him through the entirety of Twilight Town until he also gets away.
Well, that was pointless.
Yeah, except that they're now in a place where they can just catch their breath and Roxas and Axel can talk. And Roxas wonders out loud why Shion would just run away like that. And as they wonder that and they talk about that, and Roxas clearly is quite upset by that, we pan over to see Shion literally just around the corner listening in on this conversation. Of course, looking a little bit guilty.
Yeah.
And then Riku shows up asking her if she wants to go back to be with her friends or not.
So he was the other roped dude.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. In the game, we play a whole ass other mission. All that context is entirely gone because in the movie cutscene compilation, we just straight away jump into day 298 where they run into Shion in Twilight Town again. And in the game, this is also these missions are very much alike. In day 297, you chase after the robed guy, which is Riku, and then day 298, you again chase after Shion this time, and you corner her, and you have an opportunity to talk. All that context is entirely gone in the movie version. But Roxas is trying to just talk to her now that they've got her in a corner, and just please come home. Telling her that Axel will make sure that she's going to be okay. But the moment Axel's name is mentioned, Shion takes a step back, saying that no, in fact, she can't come home with him.
Because of Axel?
Kind of. I remember that when she initially ran off into Castle Oblivion, I think that since that point she's been missing, I think, again. Mm-hmm. She was pretty upset with Axel for keeping secrets from her.
Yeah.
So when Axel's mentioned, instead of it being a sign of, look, we've got like you've got two friends here in the organization. She still considers Axel to be a friend, but also a friend that's like, we need to talk. And Shion is like, I just really cannot come home, and tries to run off. But Rox grabs her hand and is like, hold on. You're not running off on me again. And Shion's not a fan of that, and literally threatens Roxas with her Keyblade.
Oh, shit.
And now that shit's hitting the fan anyway, Axel, who has been listening in on this entire conversation the entire time, figures, you know what, I might as well just fucking throw my chakrams at Shion, because why the fuck not?
Yeah.
Resulting in Shion and Axel having a bit of a fight. And Roxas literally standing in between them as they hit each other and fly back and forth. Just like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? These are my two friends. I'm not gonna like join up on either one of them, but I can't just stand here and do nothing either. So he does what Roxas does best and just screams, telling them to stop. And that kind of is successful, because that distracts Shion long enough for Axel to be able to knock her out. That's the fight, and they get her back to the castle. Day 299. Syx and Axel are talking. Syx seems pretty pleased that everything is now back to the way it's supposed to be. But Axel, on the other hand, isn't so happy about it. Syx asks if he could only save one of them, that being Roxas and Shion, of course. Why would he choose the puppets? Why would he choose a make-believe friendship over a real one? Before they part, Syx then calls him by his human name, that being Lee.
Is that just a weird spelling, or?
That is L-E-A.
Alright, yeah, that makes sense.
No, it does not. It's literally, they came up with the name Axel and then had to come up with an anagram without the accent.
Yeah, well, it works.
Which, for a lot of them, it works well enough. There's a few that have not been revealed yet, such as Damix and Luxor. And Luxor is a long enough name that they can probably make it work somehow, but Damix is gonna be a difficult one.
Yeah.
And I'm not just like fucking with you. I literally, it's not known what Damix's like original name is at this point, like modern day.
I guess they'll get to that.
They fucking better at some point. There's some interesting fan theories surrounding that, which we'll get to.
Of course.
So, meanwhile, Roxas is talking to the big boy Xemnas, the leader himself, more or less demanding to know what is going on with Shion. And Xemnas, being the person in charge, tells Roxas that it's none of his fucking business.
Yeah, fair enough. Just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, they're like, I'm your boss, you just do your work, you go back on your mission. The only thing that Xemnas tells him is that Shion and Roxas are connected through Sora, which Roxas has no idea who the hell Sora is.
I mean, I figured that much, but...
Yeah. I mean, everybody playing the game at this point has figured out the connection between the two of them is Sora, of course. But now Roxas knows it as well.
Yeah. Is there some point to the fact that the chairs are staggered?
Other than it looking visually interesting, not really. No.
Okay.
In the multiplayer of the game, the chairs have different heights depending on like your score in the multiplayer mode. So there is a implication there that like Xemnas is the highest. So I think the chairs are based on like how influential they are within the organization or something.
Yeah, the ranking system sort of thing. Yeah.
So yeah, they all have a numbering system, of course. That being number 1 is Xemnas, number 2 is Xigbar, and all the way to number 13 being Roxas. But that is literally just the order that they joined the organization in. That's not necessarily like a chain of command.
Yeah.
So you could probably argue that the chain of command is shown through the height of the chairs, but I don't think that's ever specifically stated, nor would it necessarily be consistently true, probably.
All right. It's just visually cool.
It's just visually interesting. It's just when there's like a panning shot around the room, where they show all of the organization members, the camera has to change height so fucking much. It's not very cinematic.
Also, very straining on the neck for the person at the lowest chair.
Yeah. It's, you might have asked this in Kingdom Hearts 2, but if not, it's surprising to me that you have not yet asked me how the fuck they get up on those chairs.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I mean,
they got the portal thingies. So.
Yeah, okay, no, that is the answer. We literally see them like teleport in and out through those dark corridors. Roxas runs into Axel, and Axel's like, "Hey, friend." Kind of awkward because the last time they saw each other, it's a bit dramatic. And Roxas is kind of on my team here because he's not very happy with Axel and just ignores him, just like scowls at him and walks past him, not saying a thing.
Get fucked.
Today is quite a heavy day as far as like story progression goes, so we're not done yet. Because back in the very unpractical room, we don't get to see that, but back in the very unpractical room with the chairs, now Xemnas is talking to Saïx, discussing Xion and Roxas. Would you like to know what Xion is?
Fucking tell me already, yeah.
Xion was added to the organization in the hopes of creating a connection between Xion and Roxas. Through that connection, Xion turned from an it into a she because of the connection with Sora. But that wasn't, and that doesn't sound like it makes sense, but it will a little later on. But Xion becoming a person of her own, developing a identity, was never part of the plan. They literally just wanted something they could copy Roxas's powers with the Keyblade onto. But
I mean, she is a girl, so in this series, that the fact that she has personality, that doesn't add up.
You make a good point. And apparently Xemnas is very much aware of that because it was not part of the plan for her to have a personality.
Yeah.
But there's a silver lining to all of this because this might have not been the original plan, but still, her simply existing is keeping Sora from being able to wake up. So the organization quite likes that idea.
That's the part of the memory that's missing.
Is inside of Xion, yeah. It doesn't actually like explicitly go into how Xion is made, but suffice it to say, Xion was made by the organization in Castle Oblivion. We can say that much at this point.
There was no ice cream in the making of her.
No, there was no ice cream in the making of her. Neither is she a nobody.
So what the fuck is she then?
She is something that we'll explain in a bit.
All right.
Day 300. We're getting to the home stretch, slowly but surely. All three friends are back together on the clock tower. But there's no ice cream, as you can see. And they're not even talking.
And that's friends in very, very big quotations. Yeah.
They're all back together. There's no laughing. There's no discussion. There's no ice cream. They're just all back together. Exactly what Roxas would have wanted to, but not quite in the way he wanted it to. Naminé, at the same time, notes that all the progression on Sora's memories is entirely stuck now. And that prompts Diz to decide, you know what? Playtime is over. Time to take the gloves off. We're doing it fucking my way now. And
fine, I'll do it myself.
Yeah, and as we have seen in Kingdom Hearts Gen Memories and 2, Diz doing it his way is not necessarily going to be a nice way.
Yeah.
Because he, even though he's on the side of the good guys, for the most part, is kind of a dick.
Yeah, he's kind of the ends justify the means kind of guy.
That's literally what he is.
Yeah.
Day 301. Roxas is eating ice cream on his own, and here you can really see that like this ice cream has bite marks in it, and I don't like it.
Also, very sad.
Very sad. He's having ice cream on his own.
I mean, don't we all at some point?
Yeah, but not on top of a clock tower.
Some people.
Preferably not on top of a clock tower. Day 321. Shion is back now, but somehow Roxas is getting weaker and weaker by the day. Roxas notes that this is strange. Usually he's the one getting worried about Shion and how she is doing, but now Shion is actually the one worrying over him. And she says, of course I'm worried about you. You're my friend. And asks if Axel is also going to come up for some ice cream. Roxas doesn't really seem to care, asking how could Axel just attack Shion like that. Shion, gently, points out that if Axel hadn't attacked her like that, she wouldn't be back home now and they wouldn't be sitting here eating ice cream together. Telling Roxas that Axel is their best friend and they shouldn't fight. Which is rich coming from the person that literally was physically fighting Axel. But hey, what do I know?
And threatening Roxas.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't even thought about that yet. But Roxas, of course, retorts that she's also his best friend, and he's not happy with her being attacked like that. So Shion says it's not quite the same without all three of them together having ice cream. So later when she's back at the castle, Shion takes it upon herself to go talk to Axel and asks how it is possible that Roxas is getting so tired when simply using the Keyblades. And she's also noted that she's actually starting to fight more and more like Roxas. Like the style of the swordsmanship or the keymanship, I guess. Shion's style is starting to look a lot more like the way Roxas usually fights. And Axel responds that surely by now Shion must have figured out all those answers for herself. She says, well, she's not sure. That's why I'm asking you, fuckface. And I could really use some help here. And Axel just asks if she's not sure because she's a puppet, which is a dickhead move because that's what Saïx always calls her. Because Shion, of course, is a replica that was made to copy Roxas's powers, but instead now isn't as much copying them as she is siphoning them away. So Shion...
So she's a replica in the same way that we had a replica of
Riku?
Riku, yeah. But Roxas being the weird kind of being that he is, it's more complicated.
Yeah, and here I think this doesn't become relevant again until Kingdom Hearts 3, but I think it's good to dive into this now a little bit more, and I'll re-explain it when we get there. But a replica isn't really what you think it is, because when I say replica, you probably think of clone.
Yeah.
A replica is just the term for an artificial body.
And then you can install that body with memories and stuff.
Yeah, so if you have a heart that has been separated from its body, you can put that heart into a replica and you have a full person again. Or you can program a blank slate and fill it with whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
Like they did with the copy of Riku, which they then edited to fit their own needs. Or in this case, Shion, which was a blank slate, hence why she doesn't have a face of her own, which was supposed to copy over from Roxas's powers. But she's taken them, not just copying them. So Shion, now that she figures that out, asks, okay, so then what should I do? To which Axel responds that is something she's going to have to figure out on her own, because she's not just a puppet. She's their best friend. Day
All right.
322. Zigbar. That's not Zigbar. I don't know what Zeppelin is doing here. What the fuck? I missed quite a lot there, I think. I must have put things down in the wrong order. I don't know what all these other cutscenes were about, but we'll get to this one. Because at some point, Roxas gets sent out on a mission to defeat this mean-looking Heartless that we see on the left-hand side here. And
that is mean-looking demon thingy, yeah.
It is. It's called an Invincible. So that should tell you, or is it Invisible? I think it's an Invincible. I don't know for sure. Off the top of my head. It's one of the two.
Right.
There's some of the more powerful Heartless in Kingdom Hearts 1, and usually tend to be like mini bosses in this game. Roxas is about to land the finishing blow on it when Axel jumps in front of him to stop him. And suddenly, we see Xion was doing the exact same thing. Because both Xion and Roxas has been assigned the same mission to take out this Heartless. But this Heartless does not exist. It's just an illusion for each other, so that one of them can take out the other and like make one proper being. Because right now their power is split over two people. And Xemnas isn't really happy about that.
It's an effective way to get that done. Yeah.
Exactly. But Axel caught on and just in time stopped one of them from killing the other. I'm just going off screenshots by now because I don't know what the order of things is. I fucked up somewhere. I don't know what or when. Day 352.
We're getting there.
Let me check. Do I have any like 330s in here somewhere? No. Okay. Something, I don't know. Day 352. Sheena's thinking about her place in the world and how she's starting to mess things up pretty badly with Roxas and stuff like that. And we see a flashback back to Destiny Islands to that asset trip of a cutscene.
Yeah.
Where she asks Riku who he is after she wakes up. And Riku says, I'm a friend of Sora's. And she was like, Sora, you know Sora? I've been meaning to get to know more about Sora. Tell me about Sora. And Riku tells him, or her rather, about Sora and Kairi and how Kairi is somebody that's very special to Sora.
Mm.
And Shion asks him, do you hate me for taking away your friend? Because I am the reason that he's not waking up. And Riku just thinks for a moment and says, I don't think so. I'm just really sad. I just want my friend to wake up again. And Shion just mirrors that exact same thought, saying, I know that it's needed, but my friends need me too. And if I wake up your friend, I'll leave my friends without me. So I'm not sure what to do. How can I make a right choice here? And Riku, being actually really nice about it, is like, I'm not going to rush you into a decision. We need to figure out a decision that works for everybody. For you, for Sora, and for your friends. Remember in Kingdom Hearts 2, by the way, we had that flashback of Riku beating the hell out of Roxas, so that's definitely, like, opinion changed.
Yeah.
But at this moment, to Shion, he's being very nice about it. He's not rushing her, he's not knocking her out and just, like, dragging her to go join back with Sora. He's given her time and room to think for herself. Which, for a female character in Kingdom Hearts, that's quite something. Yeah, so Shion remembers a bunch of things that clearly aren't his own memories. And Riku does confirm that, yes, those are Sora's memories, and he's gonna need those back at some point, preferably.
Would be useful.
Finally, they're all back at the clock tower, having fun, and ice cream. They're all friends again. Everybody is happy. So,
well,
kind of. Axel tells them that they should be checking the sticks in their ice cream to see if they have the word winner on them. And
because, yeah, that was the thing.
Yeah, exactly. So Roxas suddenly remembers, like 200 days after it happened, that, fuck, that's right, I gotta stick with the word winner on it. I entirely forgot about that. But he doesn't make a big deal out of it, thinking, I'll just go get it and I'll ask Axel about this like tomorrow or the day after. We've got plenty of time to discuss this, right?
Sure you do.
There's definitely nothing bad is about to happen.
Nah.
Shion says she wishes she could just always be together with their friends like this, sitting on the clock tower, having ice cream.
Having ice cream.
Exactly. Axel is clearly uncomfortable at this remark though, but Roxas thinks it's a brilliant idea. What if they just ran off together? No more organization, no more drama, just ice cream and sunsets. And Axel says, yeah, but we don't really have anywhere to run, because anywhere we can go, the organization can go. So that's not going to work. But you know, as long as we keep each other in each other's memories and our thoughts, we'll never truly be apart, even if we can't sit here and share ice cream.
Yeah. As long as they're in your memory, you can always have ice cream on your own.
It's a twist on the as long as we're in each other's hearts, but of course they're nobodies. So instead they say as long as we are part of each other's thoughts and memories. Day 353. You might think this is the same day from the screenshot. It's not. It's the day after. Shion gets on sent on a mission. Oh, actually it is. Never mind. Shion gets sent on a mission with Zigbar and Axel that day. On that mission, Zigbar says, "Oh man, this is a total blast from the past," looking at Shion, wondering, of all the faces I could be seeing, well, why am I seeing this one? That's Shion. We'll get to that at some point. I'll tell you for sure. We're going to go over the same thing here that we did in Kingdom Hearts 2. This is not Roxas.
Yeah, that yeah, I got that. But why is she not in the rope thingy, and why is she Roxas?
If she was still wearing the robe, there would be no distinction to the fact that what Zigbar is seeing here is not Roxas's face. It's somebody else's face who looks exactly like Roxas. And that's why the clothes also are different here, just because otherwise you wouldn't be able to tell that this is not Roxas.
Yeah.
It's the same character that we saw in that trailer for the prequel. So I'll just tell you it's a prequel character.
All right.
That looks exactly like Roxas. There's reasons. There's always reasons.
Of course there. Well...
There's not always good reasons, but there's always reasons.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, Shion knocks the fuck out of Zigbar because this is not just a normal mission. This is an assassination. The previous plan of pitting Roxas and Shion against each other didn't work, so the next plan is let's just have somebody else kill Shion. That way, we just get Roxas at full power. And Roxas is a lot more easy to manipulate than Shion because Shion's got much more of her own opinion on things.
She developed too much opinion for a female character.
Yeah. So she knocks down Zigbar, and that's okay. I don't have a other screenshot of that. And then Axel's like, "The fuck did you do that for?" Now, okay, you fine, run off. Go ahead, run off. I'll just pretend like you also knocked me out. He's not happy about it, though. Very not happy about it, because it's going to be a whole hassle to explain this back at HQ.
It's going to be a whole lot of paperwork. Yeah.
Yeah. So Roxas, the next day, when he hears that Shion's gone again and Axel just lets her walk off, is kind of fucking done with all of this shit that's going on at the organization. And finally, someone, for once in his life, is honest with Roxas and explains exactly what Shion is and how she's affecting him and how she's dangerous to him. Still, he's not having any of that shit and he runs off.
Presumably in search of
Shion.
Yeah.
Shion meets up with Riku, though, and telling him she's found an answer. She's about to lose everything and everyone she cares about, so she doesn't have much of an option anymore. And this is what I mean with she's presented the choice and then waits for the story to make the choice for her.
And at least she had the chance to make her own decision.
And she still does. She still very much could just kill off Roxas. Decide she's now the main character. But since she's a nice person, that's not really an option. So the only option for her is to do a disappear.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't feel great about that for obvious reasons. So Riku tells her to go to Twilight Town and to talk to Namine. Day 354. Axel gets a mission to get Shion back pronto. Because this time, apparently, Xemnas knows that the plot needs Shion. Last time, he was like, let's just let Shion run around. It's not that big a deal. This time, he's like, actually, we're closing in on the end of the game. You should go get her. Roxas goes to ask Axel again before he leaves if they can't just let Shion be. Let her run away if she wants to. This leads to Roxas slowly realizing that Axel might have been keeping a secret or two from him for a while now.
Yeah, think?
Roxas really didn't have much of a clue as to how much Axel was really keeping from him until this point.
Well, he didn't have much of a clue of anything.
Of anything, yeah, that's true. He's a very sweet, innocent boy. But everything is now pretty much told, like, this is what Shion is. She came from Castle Oblivion. She's affecting you. Roxas realizes everything about that now, realizes it's been months that Axel's known this without telling him, and he's fucking done. Like, Roxas is not having any of this shit. Meanwhile, Mickey the get the fuck off my lawn mouse is here too now.
He was here.
Remember, this is a Disney game as well.
All right.
He's meeting with Riku in the forest. They're just catching up. How is Sora doing? What's Riku been up to? And Riku is been working to get Shion's stolen memories back to Sora, of course. That's we've seen that. That's the entire story of this game.
Uh-huh.
But all the while in the background, Riku has also been worrying about fighting his own darkness because, as we know, in Kingdom Hearts 1 he got possessed. In Kingdom Hearts 2 he had to face that darkness head on again. And by the time we end Kingdom Hearts 2, he has a pretty good grasp on it. That in-between time, Riku's having a pretty tough time of it, trying to control the darkness, trying to get more of a grasp on it so it doesn't control him. But he doesn't really have full control over it yet. And he says to Mickey, pretty soon I'm going to have to face one of the organization's members, that being Roxas. And I'm not sure that I can do it without the power of darkness. But if I have to give in to the darkness, I literally cannot be seen by Sora in that state. So you're going to be the one that needs to guide him when he wakes up. And that's the promise that that Mickey makes to Riku, which he unintentionally breaks against Sora, is not to tell Sora anything about Riku's current state and to help Sora wherever he can. Day 355, more talking... Oh, that's Riku. Day 355, more talking about Shion, because Roxas just can't let it go, dude.
I thought he pissed off to go look for it.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you're going to come back home, right? Except, maybe not. Because Roxas goes back to talk to Axel, and now that he's had some time to think and cool down a little bit, and he asks her, how long have you known about Shion? And I figure that the organization wants to get rid of me, because they have Shion. And that must mean that you also want to get rid of me, don't you, Axel? And Axel's like, fuck, of course not. You're my best friend. I don't want to get rid of you. And Rox is like, yeah, but I don't really trust you anymore. So tough luck trying to convince me of that. And this is actually one of the few moments that we see the nobodies showing emotion. Sure.
Yeah.
This is one of the only moments where we, honest to God, see very emotional outbursts from one of them. That being Roxas actually like full on screaming at Axel.
Well, apart from the screaming to stop the fighting, but
yeah, well, that was just a quick like stop fighting. Just like I think he literally just screams stop. This is honestly like just that was more of a scream for attention. This is actual emotional screaming. Which he also does in Kingdom Hearts 2, don't get me wrong. But this is one of the few times we actually get to see that. So Axel just says, you have to trust me, we'll do what's best for everybody here. And Roxas says, that's the thing though, I don't trust you. And I'm going to find answers on my own. And then the person who gives me those answers, that is the person that I will trust. And then Roxas leaves the castle, taking one last look at the ice cream stick with Winner on it, before we see a cutscene that you might recognize from Kingdom Hearts 2. In Kingdom Hearts 2, we saw this as a flashback from Roxas's time in the organization.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually literally the moment he's leaving the organization. It's the cutscene where Axel's like, oh, your mind's made up, and Roxas is like, are you going to tell me why I have the Keyblade? Because then I might stay. And Axel's like, I can't tell you that. And screams at him like, you really shouldn't leave. If you get on a bad side of the organization, they're going to track you down, they're going to destroy you. Roxas like, nobody would miss me. Axel responds, that's not true. I would. You're my friend. Roxas leaves anyway.
Yeah.
Which brings us to day 356.
Whoop whoop.
Finally, more context on how Shion actually works. Namine is finally explaining everything to Shion. She's not just a copy of Roxas or a replica of Sora. What she physically is Kairi as Sora remembers her.
Right.
So the missing memories they need are specifically Sora's memories of Kairi, which is why Shion looks like Kairi.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just like random memories, like, oh, that one time I went to Disneyland and that one time I had a fucking massive shit after Taco Bell. It's specifically his memories of Kairi. How the fuck they got filtered so cleanly to only... Don't ask me. But there's an issue there, because she doesn't have her own memories. And unlike normal people who have their own memories and their own connections, she exists because she's made up of those memories. And as such, memories of her can only exist while she exists. So...
yeah.
It's a little cyclical, but let's pretend it makes sense. Bottom line is...
That's what I've been doing for 4 hours now.
The bottom line here being, if Shion disappears, reuniting with Sora, giving back Sora's memories, she's not just going to disappear. Everybody who knew who she was is going to forget about her. It's going to be as if she's never existed in the first place.
So she's the only one who can actually say, nobody will miss me.
Yeah, no, literally, because
yeah,
nobody will know that there is anything to miss anymore. Which is so much worse than just regular dying.
That's kind of the end of Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah, no, this is it's very close to what happens there. Except she also dies.
Detail.
Well, she doesn't die. She becomes one with Sora and lives through Sora, and practically she just ceases to exist as well.
At this point, Sora has got to... after this whole thing is done, Sora has to develop some sort of schizophrenia. Because there are quite a few personalities living through him.
Sora's heart is pretty much a hotel.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you now, at the end of Kingdom Hearts, well, at the start of Kingdom Hearts 2, really, Sora's got his own heart, Roxas's heart, arguably whether or not he has a heart, and Shion's heart, all inside of him. So that's 3 hearts in one person. But there's actually a 4th in there as well that you don't know about yet.
Of course there is.
So we'll get to that. But even with all this information, Shion decides that it's not going to be fun, but what needs to be done needs to be done. And this is the only way forward. I need to go see Sora. So just as they are about to go see Sora, and Shion is about to give herself up to fix Sora, Axel shows up.
Of course he does.
Because he's on a mission to bring Shion back. She tells Axel that she's going to go back to where she belongs. And Axel says, you know, That's actually probably a good idea. That's probably for the best. I've been thinking you should probably do that for a while now. But I'm not happy about it. I don't want you to go away. Especially since we don't know if this is the best option, for sure. How can we be sure that they're not lying to you? That kind of stuff, right?
Uh-huh.
And Shion sleeps in his arms, apparently. Shion gets ready to fight him because this is what she is doing and nobody's going to fucking stop her. And Axel is kind of done with all this bullshit. So I'll get the literal quote here because it's a pretty good line. So yeah, he says, you both think you can do whatever you want. Because this is literally like an hour after Roxas ran off as well, right? Well, I'm sick of it. You go on, keep on running, because I'll always be here to bring you back home before summoning his weapons and beating the ever-living shit out of her because he's such a good friend.
Do whatever you want, but I'm gonna stand here and beat the shit out of you if you do what you want to do.
It's still a pretty sweet moment in the most anime way possible. And it's not an easy fight, I might add, because as you were able to see before, he does knock out Shion again, and he gets her back to the castle, but only barely, because the moment he enters the castle, he passes out and drops Shion just face first onto the floor, where Xemnas walks up to them and just picks up Shion, leaving Axel just on the floor because who fucking cares about that dude, and walks off with her.
He'll be fine.
He'll be fine. He's got pretty spiky anime boy hair. He's a main character. It's fine.
Yeah.
He can't die. Except, day 157. Roxas, now being no longer part of the organization, is sitting up on the clock tower alone. And now that he's calmed down a bit, he figures, you know what, just taking off like that without actually having a plan? Pretty stupid idea. Probably should have thought that out a little bit more. And Shion comes up to join him and give him an ice cream. Just like the good old days, having an ice cream together, sitting on top of this tower. Shion says they're out of time. She's taken too many memories from Roxas, and she gets up to remove her hood. And we see... it's really silly. She now looks like Sora, saying to Roxas that if you see a boy's face, this is Sora. And that means that my memory process is pretty much complete. But I can't be complete without everything from Sora. So at this point, I think it's implied that all of Sora's memories have been transferred into Shion. So Sora in Twilight Town is literally an empty husk right now. Which is why she now looks like Sora. But she's not quite complete yet, because part of that is still inside of Roxas. And she's gonna need that. So she gets up, and what follows is a 4-part bullshit boss fight sequence that, to be fair, is a shame that most people that play this like on the PlayStation 3 and only see the movie version can't experience. Because the first 3 phases are not very well made. The last phase is in front of the clock tower. So the clock tower is like the backdrop to that fight. With that same music that I mentioned before, The Other Promise, which is a mix of both of their theme musics, playing as the battle music. It's a fantastic set piece that these movie watchers just don't get to experience, which is really sad.
In this, it's just the Fade to Black and we're done.
Yeah, no, in this, it's literally what happens is Shion gets up, puts her hood back on, and walks like on the air, because that's something she can do now. And she says, I have to make you part of me too, Roxas. We fade to black, we fade back in, and Shion's on the ground dying.
Huh. Yeah, that kind of sucks.
That is so anticlimactic. It sucks. It really does. For the other DS game, they did the cutscene compilation treatment for at least the fights all got like cinematic remakes, so that you can see the fights. Issue is that the fights in that game are not nearly as emotionally relevant as this one. So it's kind of the wrong way around. But hey, after the battle, Shion collapses on the ground, and Roxas looks at her and asks, "Wait, who are you again? Who hurt you? Did I do this to you?" And as she's fading away, going back to Sora, she tells Roxas that, "Please correct my mistake. Go back and set Kingdom Hearts free and stop Xemnas' plans. Fix all of the hearts that I have captured, because I don't want Xemnas to succeed." As Shion dies in Roxas' arms, there's a quick moment of lucidity for Roxas, who now remembers again who Shion is. Realizing what's happening, he utters the infamous line, very misunderstood, "But who will I have ice cream with?" Ice cream, very obviously being what he sees friendship as.
Or other things.
Or other things.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell. Shion fades away, leaving Roxas alone in the station plaza, as a tear drips down from his eyes. For the first time, we see Roxas actually crying. Earlier in the game, we also had a cutscene where Roxas woke up from one of the Sora memory dreams he had. Very confused as to why his eyes were wet, because he was crying Sora's emotions, but he didn't get it. Now, however, this is truly Roxas feeling sad and crying.
Except for the part that he doesn't have emotions and stuff, but...
that's exactly what I was going to say next, and people maintain that the retcon in a later game that nobodies do have their own version of a heart comes out of the blue, while this scene literally shows him crying. Him crying cannot be explained away with what they try earlier in the game, saying, "Oh, but we remember what it's like to have emotions." No, this guy is honest to God experiencing sadness.
Yeah.
And the worst part is, he probably doesn't even realize or quite know why he's experiencing sadness, because at the same time, he is forgetting that Shion existed.
Right, because that was a thing.
Yeah. So it's a very, very rough day for Roxas. Back at the castle, Axel finds the stick left in his room by Roxas before he left with "winner" on it. So beyond just ice cream in general, this specific stick, of course, represents their friendship.
Is the whole winner thing finally going to get relevant, or?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, that's just something to be like an identifying mark, so that the viewer knows that it's specifically like an ice cream stick.
There's no fucking price or whatever?
They actually make a point out of that in the cutscene. Like, Axel explains it at some point, like, you got to watch out for the winner stick. And Roxas asks, "Okay, but what do you win when you get it?" And Axel responds with, "I'll tell you. That's a very good question, but it's got to be a pretty nifty thing if you've got to be a winner to get it, right?" But no, the whole winner thing, it doesn't come back into play at all. It's literally
the prize.
Yeah,
the prize is friendship.
Pretty much. It's just so that they have like a physical token of what their friendship means. And since their friendship is entirely based on the grossest sounding ice cream ever, it's got to be an ice cream stick. Day 358. Hey, that number sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Hey.
Roxas is back at the organization's world, the world that never was, and now he has 2 Keyblades. Wonder why that second one suddenly appeared.
Huh.
And we see the entire encounter. We see through flashbacks in Kingdom Hearts 2, where he throws his Keyblade, one of them at least, at Riku. And I think I have a screenshot of Riku. Yeah. Riku, when he touches the black one, the Oblivion Keyblade, gets a quick memory flash of Shion, but it's glitching all over the place. Clearly touching the thing that is related to Shion. So presumably the 2 Keyblades here, the black one is Oblivion, the white one is Oathkeeper. Presumably the Oblivion represents Shion, which would mean that Oathkeeper represents Roxas.
All right.
To me, it makes much more sense that Roxas would be the dark one, But hey, what do I know?
Yeah.
But through...
I mean, the Oathkeeper also makes sense because of the promise he's keeping and stuff.
That is true. And to be fair, Shion literally was obliviated.
Yeah.
Well, more obliterated, but close enough. So,
tomato potato.
through touching something related to Shion, Riku for a quick moment regains the memory of Shion's existence and says, it's even hard to remember her name now. Soon, she won't be able to be remembered at all. And from there, we see the entire cutscene from Kingdom Hearts 2 with occasional flashes to cutscenes with Shion in it as well, where she is fading away, leaving the same cutscenes with only Roxas and Axel in them.
Hashtag sad.
Hashtag very sad. And Roxas gets his ass beat by Riku, gets dragged into Twilight Town, and that's where Kingdom Hearts 2 starts off. And that was a clusterfuck of a game.
Wait, but this this still doesn't explain how Roxas gets to the rest of the Twilight Town gang.
Oh no, that doesn't get explained. Those Twilight Town gang he meets are the digital versions in Kingdom Hearts 2. So those are literally just programmed to be his friends, so that Roxas can be held into place for a little while they work on getting him into Sora.
I forgot that was the digital matrix thingy.
So that's the entire story of how Roxas came to be, and then not to be, as well as Shion, actually. That's the entire backstory on them. At the moment, they all live inside of... Well, not Axel. Axel's just dead. But the other two are living on inside of Sora in some way, which will become relevant whenever there's plot progression again, which will be a while.
Yeah, because after this, we first got to do some prequels and stuff, right?
I'll go over... well, before we do that, actually, I think at the end of Kingdom Hearts 2, I forgot to do this. But we're going to go over our counter as to how many characters can exist at the same time. So, how many Soras do we have at the moment? We've got Sora, Sora Prime.
Yeah, we got Sora. We've got Roxas. We've got Shion.
That's it for the time being.
Yeah.
Just Roxas, Shion, and Sora himself. We've got 2 Rikus as well, Riku and Riku Replica. We've got 3 Kairis as well now, because Shion also counts as a Kairi.
Wait, what?
Because she's made up out of Sora's memories of Kairi.
Right, yeah.
She is Kairi as Sora remembers her. Yeah. So we've also got Kairi, Naminé, and Shion.
Yeah.
For the time being, this list is still kind of comprehensible. Like, we've got 3 Soras, 3 Kairis, and 2 Rikus.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get like in the habit of doing this a little bit more, because as soon as we get to like not the next game, but the game after that, things will start getting a little weird. Oh yeah, of course, we've also got a number of Xehanorts. We've got the Apprentice Xehanort and Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, and Xemnas. That's all.
Yeah, but those are separate people. They all gone under the same name, but they're separate people, right?
No, we've got Ansem, Seeker of Darkness is the Heartless of Xehanort.
Right. Yeah.
And Xemnas is the Nobody. So those 3 are also all 3 different incarnations of the same person. Then we've got Ansem the Wise, which is entirely a different person.
Oh, yeah. That was the one.
Which is also Diz, but I don't count that as like a separate entity, because that's just him.
That's just a different name.
It's just him cosplaying as a mummy.
Yeah.
But as soon as we get into the prequel, those numbers are going to start going up. So be prepared for that. Now, a little bit of a action plan going forward for the next couple of games. Before we end off, we don't have any reports for this one, so we're finished.
Oh, good.
Well, There are reports in this game, but the reports are literally for every day that you play, Roxas has a diary entry, and I didn't feel like going through all those because
That's gonna take forever.
that
Even though that would just be, I've killed some motherfuckers, we've had some ice cream, and I went to sleep.
it goes a little bit more into like the themes of the story of that day specifically. A lot of the like day-to-day stories I didn't cover, except the one where Roxas learns what love is, and the one where he learns about people not being able to lose something because they would just fucking lose it. There's a lot of like mini stories like that in every single mission, and those diary entries are just Roxas reflecting back on the morals and the themes of that day's mission, which is very interesting from a character building perspective. But I think we've gotten the gist of that through this anyway, without going through all that.
Yeah.
So moving forward, we a lot of recaps I see of the Kingdom Hearts series generally skip the next game that we are going to do, because this might have felt like filler. It's not, but it feels pretty fillery.
Yeah.
The next game really is filler. But I feel like I wouldn't torture you enough if I didn't give you the authentic experience of going through what a clusterfuck of a story it is. Because, and we'll get into that for the game itself, but it is another retelling of Kingdom Hearts 1.
What?
It's with different story added on top of it, but much like how Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories was just Kingdom Hearts 1, with story bits thrown in between and some things being slightly different. The next game that we're going to do, called Kingdom Hearts Coded, is a simulation of Kingdom Hearts 1. It's a wild ride. It's going to be amazing.
So they just didn't feel like writing a new story. They were just like, let's remix this again. And
Well, they didn't
we've got
feel
another
like
game.
making new world designs. That's the thing, because the story itself is new.
Oh,
It just doesn't come back in a lot of very relevant ways down the line. But I still feel like we should cover it. It's going to be a pretty short one, I think. We'll see. For now, we've had our Kingdom Hearts trauma, and we'll be back with Kingdom Hearts Recoded next time. And rumor has it that Nomura, the person in charge of all this bullshit, might have been less than sober while writing that one, which prompts me only to say he was sober during the rest.
yeah.
I'll gladly see everybody back next time. I'm going to fucking take a nap.